Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we're at this really interesting crossroads with AI, right? We're trusting it with, well, everything. Our money, our health, even our safety. But what happens when that trust just breaks? Today we're going to dive into a pretty radical new way of thinking about AI accountability. It's all about moving away from just blind faith and into an era of solid, verifiable proof.
So let's just start with this question right here. Imagine an AI decides you don't get a loan for that house you've been saving up for. Or worse, it bumps you down the list for a critical medical treatment. And when you ask why, all you get is, "The computer said so." I mean, that's not some sci-fi movie plot. It's happening right now. So the real question isn't just can an AI make a decision, it's can it actually prove that decision was fair, that it followed the rules it was supposed to?
And that question, well, it points to a really deep and honestly kind of dangerous problem, what we're calling the AI governance gap. And look, this isn't some tiny little crack in the system. It's a massive chasm. On one side, you've got the incredible, ever-growing power of AI. On the other is our ability to actually control it, which is lagging way behind. And everything important, accountability, fairness, our safety, it can all just fall into that gap.
Okay, so this is where most of the chatter around AI safety kind of misses the point. We get all hung up on the weird outputs or the mistakes, the symptoms, right? But we're completely missing the disease. The research we're looking at today says the real problem isn't that an AI makes a bad call. It's that there is literally nothing in place to stop it from making a decision it was never ever supposed to make. Just think about that. What if the issue isn't bad AI thinking, but just a total absence of guardrails?
So what are we actually doing about this right now? How are we trying to keep these incredibly powerful systems in check? Well, the truth is, our current methods are surprisingly fragile. The whole thing is built on a foundation of trust. And spoiler alert, that foundation is starting to crack. So let's take a look at the three main pillars of this trust-based system, and you'll see just how shaky they really are. Okay, first up, logs. We all kind of think of these as the system's diary, right? A perfect record of what happened. But here's the thing. A log is just the system's own story about what it did. It's basically the main suspect in a crime writing their own alibi. It could be missing details, it could be misleading, or it could be just plain wrong. A log file isn't proof a rule was followed. It's just the system saying it was. That's a huge difference. Then we've got explainability. This is a big buzzword. It's the idea that an expert can come in and tell you why the AI did what it did. But again, an explanation that comes after the event is not proof. It's a theory. It's an expert opinion. It explains what the AI was thinking, sure, but it does absolutely nothing to prove whether it was allowed to take that action in the first place. It's a story, not a guarantee.
And the last pillar? Audits. Now, you can think of audits as the crime scene investigation. They show up after something has gone terribly wrong to figure out what happened. And yeah, that's useful, I guess, but the harm is already done. The crime's already been committed. And that leads to this killer line from the research. Governance that arrives late is not governance. It's an autopsy, not a vaccine.
So, okay, if logs are just stories, explanations are theories, and audits are autopsies, what are we left with? Where do we go? Well, the new thinking here is that we stop trying to patch up this broken trust-based model. Instead, we move to a whole new standard. We move from trust to proof.
Okay, so let's unpack this new concept, deterministic proof. I know, it sounds a little technical, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Think of it like a cryptographically sealed, unforgeable receipt that gets generated for every single action the AI takes. And here's the key part, it's not created later. It's generated at runtime, in the exact moment of the decision. It's hard evidence that the system acted strictly within its authority.
And this isn't just some pie-in-the-sky idea. This new standard is being formally introduced by the researchers at Deterministic. They're the ones really pushing this forward, laying the groundwork for a future where AI isn't just powerful, but also provably accountable. So what makes this proof so different? Let's tick through the list. It's deterministic, which is just a fancy way of saying it's repeatable. Like a math problem, the answer is always the same. It's replayable, so you can watch the decision happen again, step by step. It's cryptographically verifiable, meaning you can be sure it hasn't been tampered with. But this is the most important one. It's proof of constraint. It proves the rules were followed, period.
And just so we're all on the same page, let's be super clear about what this isn't. It's not a fancy new log file. It's not a smarter AI explanation. It's not an alert or a report. It completely replaces all that stuff that relies on trust. I mean, why would you ever settle for trusting a system when you can verify it instead?
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right?
But how does it actually work in the real world? How do you actually enforce the rules? Let's pop the hood and see how this whole thing is put together.
It's a process called Deterministic Runtime Enforcement, or DRFE for short. The easiest way to think about it is like a security checkpoint. For every single thing the AI wants to do, it has to go through this checkpoint. First, it proposes an action. The system then evaluates the rules. It checks if the AI has the authority. If everything lines up, great, it's executed. If not, the action is halted, blocked, dead stop. And no matter what, a proof artifact is emitted, which is inseparable from that final decision.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple, incredibly powerful idea. If the system cannot prove it's following the rules, the action doesn't happen. That's it. No proof, no execution. It's like a deadbolt. If you don't have the right key, the proof, the door does not open. Period.
Let's look at how this plays out in a real-world case like healthcare. Right now, some AI triage systems have this scary problem called drift. Basically, the rules for who gets prioritized for care can slowly, silently change without anyone noticing. Patients get deprioritized and nobody can prove why. But with this new model, that kind of drift would be structurally impossible. The rules are locked in and any attempt to deviate is blocked. The system can't just quietly change its mind.
Or how about finance? This is another perfect example. Before, you could have two people with the exact same credit profile get totally different loan decisions, and the bank couldn't even prove to regulators why it happened. It's a black box. But after implementing this, every single decision comes with its own proof. A regulator can just hit replay and see for themselves that the rules were followed. The black box is gone.
So when you zoom out, what does all this mean for the future? We're talking about a massive shift in how we think about accountability. It's not just about building smarter AI anymore. It's about building a future that is provably safe, provably fair, a future that is, well, verifiable.
And this table really just sums up the whole shift perfectly. We're moving away from a world of trust us to a world of verify this. We're going from narratives to hard evidence, from relying on good intentions to demanding actual enforcement. And we're finally swapping out those late-to-the-party audits for proof that's generated in real time. It's a complete change in mindset.
Now, it's really important to get this next point. This isn't about slowing down AI. It's not about putting the brakes on innovation. It's actually the opposite. This is about building the safety systems, the seatbelts, and the guardrails that let us adopt AI faster and more safely. It's about making sure our adoption of this tech is, frankly, survivable.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful idea. If a system can't prove it enforced its rules when it made a decision, then that system isn't governable. It's out of control. And in a world where AI is making decisions about our lives and our safety every single second, you have to ask yourself, is anything less than proof really good enough?